Hello there, CryptoWisers. Welcome back to the channel. Today, I got a special CryptoWise chats for you. Very excited because we have the co-founder of Integritee, Mr. Waldemar Sherer, on the program today. And if you have been watching the channel in the last couple of weeks, you know that we are supporting Integritee in their bid to get a Parachain. I made 2 videos on them recently. This one here, new Polkadot hidden gem. That's a deep dive into Integritee, who they are, what they are. And then I made this one here, Parachains, huge opportunity. This is a step-by-step how you can join their Crowdloan if you are interested. So I was really hoping that I could get one of the team members on to CryptoWise chat, so I'm thrilled that Waldemar made the time for us. And if you are inspired to help Integritee get their Parachain the way that we have, lend them some Kusama, get a bunch of rewards in return, the link to the Crowdloan page is in the description of this video. All right, guys, before we get to the interview, please do me a favor, smash the like button, subscribe to the channel, and hit that notification bell. If you love crypto and in-depth interviews with the greatest minds in crypto, doing those 3 little things really help out the channel. All right, guys, without further ado, here is our interview with the co-founder of Integritee. All right, CryptoWisers, welcome to another episode of CryptoWise Chats. Today we are talking to Waldemar Sherer. He is the co-founder of Integritee. And if you watch our channel, you know about Integritee because this is a Polkadot project that we are super hyped about. We love this project, and so it is great to have Waldemar on the channel so that we can answer all the big questions about Integritee. So Waldemar, thank you so much for taking the time. It's great to have you on the channel.
Thank you very much for having me today.
So I think we should start, obviously, with just going into a bit of detail of what Integritee is, what problem it's solving. So on the website, it says that Integritee is the most scalable public blockchain solution for securely processing sensitive business or personal data. So that's obviously an amazing use case, but let's kind of go into detail on exactly what that means and how Integritee goes about doing it. So could you give us kind of in the most simplest form what Integritee is?
Of course. So what we have built is more or less the second layer technology on top of Kusama or Polkadot, right? So it can be connected to both. And it allows projects to build on a scalable layer that can transact up to 1 million transactions per second. So there's no other layer currently known for transacting more. And it uses also a privacy preserving technology inherently. So this is what makes us really unique in that ecosystem, in the Polkadot ecosystem, but also in the blockchain sphere, right? Because um, once you're transacting on the blockchain, then all the transactions are public, right? And there are use cases, especially in the B2B sector, where you don't want to have that information being publicly available for everyone, right?
Right. So let's just kind of unpack that a little bit. So when you say B2B, you mean business to business. And so that's kind of one of the main use cases that you're using this for. So a business, if I'm a business and I have some sensitive data, I don't want anyone to see that data, but I need to use some of it to interact with, other businesses, say. I can use Integritee to essentially secure that data for me, and it allows me to interact with other businesses without them actually seeing the data. Is that right? Does that kind of explain one way that someone might use this?
Yeah, one way. So there are a lot of ways how our layer can be used, right? And that's why we also developed that generic layer to enable millions of use cases, literally, right? So it might be just a simple functionality that you want to integrate with our technology that is storing sensitive data and retrieving sensitive data. But I mean, you could extend that level to put also a whole application on top of our layer to secure all the data that is processed, right? It really depends on the need and requirements that projects and companies have to secure data. It might be a strategic purpose, it might be a regulatory purpose, especially in the EU, European Union, and in single states in the US, for example, there are heavy data regulations, right? And you should, or you could use our technology to see that regulation not as a burden, but turn it into an advantage, right? To keep really sensitive data sensitive and secured by hardware technology that is already proven. So it's not an academic approach that is still to be researched about, right? So it's really a hardware that is already proven, and we are connecting that hardware with a public ledger, or Polkadot, to enable all of this, right? And yeah, it might be also something where you wanna, as a business, just secure your users' data. It doesn't have to be always a B2B case where companies want to collaborate on data, but yeah.
Right. So, but in your focus right now, at least primarily, is businesses. So if I'm a business,
Mhm.
I'm collecting sensitive data, or I might have internal sensitive data. And the question then becomes, how do I store it? How do I retrieve information from that data? Or how do I interact with third parties with that data? And that's right now, there are solutions on, that businesses can use. And essentially,
Mhm.
I guess what you guys are saying is those solutions aren't ideal. There are better solutions that we can come up with right now if we use existing hardware solutions and pair that with the blockchain. Is that right?
Okay. Well, I mean, currently you have the option, for example, to encrypt data that is stored in a database, for example, right? To secure the data, and you could also secure, for example, communication channels end to end. So if you're calling someone via Signal, for example, it is end to end encrypted, right? But if a company wants to process data, it always has to decrypt the data first and then process the decrypted data and store it again and encrypt it, right? And during that time, where the data is processed, it is vulnerable to attacks as well, right? Because it's visible in the raw form. And this is something where our solution can be very beneficial because now the data can be really processed fully encrypted within a black box. That's what we are providing with our technology. And of course, we could also split the data that is processed between different hardware processes and make it even less attractive for hackers to get into one of the system and just retrieve a single piece of the data, right? So it's a completely different approach than companies have with their current security approaches because they are
Right.
building Chinese walls, and once a hacker gets in through that Chinese wall, he has access to almost every sensitive data that is stored within that system.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. And obviously, this has been big news. Personally, I've been involved in I don't know how many leaks. You get Google tells you, oh, your password has been leaked, or your email address has been leaked, or whatever. Because anything I do online, I got to sign up. I got to I got to create a password. I got to do this, and I don't know how they're storing that or how they're dealing with that. And as you say, that they're doing their best right now to secure that, but it becomes vulnerable, and it's still vulnerable in many ways. And so this is technology that can really take us to the next step of ensuring that this sensitive data can be secured by private businesses. And as we know also, you mentioned this on a lot of your literature, is governments are really stepping in and saying, you have to treat this sensitive data much better than you have been doing it.
Mm.
And so Integritee is providing this option that will be, I guess, allow for companies to be compliant with the strictest of data laws. Is that right?
Correct. I mean, if you look at those data laws, of course, they include not only systems that provide that kind of security and privacy, right? So you as a company, as a private company, you have to also follow some organizational steps to secure that data. But if you're using such kind of a technology where the data is processed fully encrypted, then you have really a good chance to comply with that regulation, and you make it much easier also for your whole organization to deal with sensitive data, right? Because no one has really access to that raw data that is sensitive.
Right. So let's talk a little bit more about the hardware aspect of it, because this is
Mhm.
a little bit different than what we're used to in crypto. When people are investing in different crypto, it's usually just, the chain or the network,
Mhm.
the blockchain network that they're dealing with. So in your circumstance, there's going to be the Integritee blockchain, but it works with existing hardware that these companies would need to have. Can you explain what that hardware is? And is that a challenge that you think, or is this hardware that's easily accessible that's already being used widely in companies already?
Yeah, I mean, we're working with the technology from Intel called Intel SGX, and that software guard extension SGX is already included in a lot of processors that Intel is producing since, I guess, 2016. So it's quite a while on the market already, and of course they're also working on better processors year for year. So it is a proven hardware that we're using, and companies are already using that technology also standalone. And the uniqueness of our project is really combining that hardware now with a public ledger as well to provide public auditability. So as of now, there's actually no real proof for a company. For example, let's take an example, right? Um, let's say Facebook it's getting hacked today, right? And they have to somehow prove to their customers that their personal data was not affected by that hack, right? And their personal data was only processed in a certain way that was actually agreed on once the user opted in to that service, right? And we are now allowing through that feature, public auditability, those companies to prove how that data was processed and if a customer, for example, was affected by a leak or not. So
Right.
this is one of
That's
the major features that we also allow by the combination of that hardware with the public ledger. And I mean, the servers are openly available on the market, so everyone could buy this kind of hardware. So it's not only open for larger institutions, right? So
yeah.
we don't see an issue to get that hardware on the market.
Great. Yeah, no, that explains it really well. And I feel like it, just to make it clear to people, Integritee is not selling hardware. They're not, building
Yeah.
hardware. They are working with existing technology out there and adding that kind of public ledger aspect to it to process and to keep the data secure. Okay, great. So that explains the hardware aspect of how this works.
Mhm.
Now, I want to go into a little bit of the side chains and how the side
Mhm.
chains will work with Integritee. So I think people watching the channel know about the Parachains, and we know Integritee is doing a crowd loan right now, and we'll talk more about that and hoping to get a Parachain. So in the light paper, and we're looking at this right now, we see the diagram of Polkadot or Kusama. There's the relay chain. Once Integritee has a parachain that would, lock in to the relay chain. And then we see that you have these side chains that would work with
Mhm.
the Integritee parachain. Can you explain exactly how that works and who would be using these side chains?
Yeah, of course. So, I mean, our sidechain concept is pretty similar to the parachain concept of Polkadot itself. So we are extending that and allow projects to really scale with that sidechain concept. Means we will have two different options for the projects to operate or interconnect with our system, right? One will be off-chain workers. It will be a super simple form to connect with our network, but it's not that scalable because every request will hit the parachain. And what we will introduce with the side chains is really a very scalable layer that allows scaling up to 1 million transactions per second while being independent from other projects that run sidechains, right? So every sidechain can really scale independently by adding more hardware resources to the network. And as you mentioned before, that is totally correct. We're not taking care of the hardware itself. So it's up to the projects to operate either their own hardware on-premise or in the cloud. So we're offering those projects a very high grade of flexibility in how they want to integrate their hardware with our network.
Right. And so when we talk about this, the kind of services that Integritee could help facilitate, can we talk about who would be offering that? So when you talk about these side chains, it sounds like other developers, other businesses can use the Integritee parachain, build their own use cases on it, either
Mhm.
through a side chain or else. So this is a much greater vision and utility than just Integritee having their own little business and they're selling data security to businesses directly. Is that right?
Correct, yes. And I mean, of course, it might happen that there will be companies coming up with new business models to operate, for example, side chains on behalf of other projects, right? That might happen as well. So we allow really the whole ecosystem and the projects to take care about their infrastructure and provide a high flexibility in how that can be achieved. So, what integrity will be maybe in the future? I mean, we are aiming for a decentralization soon, right? And then we will give up the power of the network from our company. But what we will do is definitely try to come up with services that especially also helps traditional businesses to integrate with or use our service. So we will also try to remove the whole complexity of dealing with the token as it is a utility token and it's necessary to have the token to run applications in our network. But as we also see that traditional businesses having huge issues with dealing with tokens at all, and of course with the technology, we want to abstract that complexity for traditional businesses in the future to
Right.
get mass adoption.
Yeah, that's great. I do want to touch more on that in a second. So, but this this kind of transitions me perfectly into this idea of some of the use cases that you already have on the website. And one of the major ones that I think you're starting with is how crypto exchanges could use this technology. And we talked to last week. We talked to the managing director of Polkadex, and
Mhm.
they are
Great.
using it right now. Can you talk about maybe that as one example so that we can kind of just get a better sense of all the different, because I know you said, and it's true, there are a million applications for this technology, but this is one that our audience might understand because they're into crypto and they use crypto exchanges. So maybe we can use that as an example to further explain what Integritee can do.
I won't go into the details of the collaboration with Polkadot and what we are doing with them, but in general, our technology can be used from centralized exchanges to secure private keys, for example, right? Because, I mean, this is a sweet point for hackers to get access to all the keys and transfer the funds. One of the major issues with decentralized exchanges, on the other hand, is that everything is publicly available, every information, and also the order book, right? All the asks and bids are publicly available. And this is something that allows front running, right? And here we could use our technology to secure the order book and keep that private to prevent front running in that case. Yeah.
Right. That's great. And so I want to go a little bit about, because I think people listening will think, oh, this sounds familiar. I know maybe some other projects that talk about data security or other things. So I want to talk about maybe what makes Integritee different from some of those other projects. So, for example, Thala Network is another Polkadot project that talks about privacy or with data. And there are others that talk about similar things that you're talking about here. So what makes
Mhm.
Integritee different?
I mean, first of all, I want to say that there are a lot of projects out there that are focusing on privacy in general, and this is already a good sign that the development is going into a very good direction for us as end consumers of those services, right? On the second hand, of course, especially it surprises me that there are a lot of projects in the Polkadot ecosystem that are combining trusted execution environments or using trusted execution environments with the chain. But our approach is completely different than the other projects, right? Most of the other projects are focusing on single spots on niches, right? Uh, we are a generic platform that can be used in almost every use case, and therefore we just removed all the things that are not necessary from our perspective, right? To provide really the scalability and the security at the highest grade. So this makes us, I think, unique in that ecosystem as well.
All right. That's great. That's awesome. And so let's talk a little bit about the TEER token. You brought it up earlier. What is, and you mentioned this also, that it has utility in that if you want to use the Integritee blockchain, to secure data in any way, you need to use this TEER token. That's the main utility of it, as I understand. And then also it's a governance token so that it will be, as you say, completely decentralized and the token holders will be able to vote on the governance. Uh, are those the two main use cases for the token? Are there any others that I'm missing?
No, that's totally correct. So, first of all, it will be a utility token to operate infrastructure in our network, right? Every node that wants to join our network has to hold tier tokens to operate as a node or as a validator. So this is the main usage, and then, as you correctly mentioned as well, it will be the governance functionality. So all token holders will be obliged to bring in motions, for example, or yeah, all people will be able to take part in the governance on of the network and form the future of the network as well, right? And participate actively in the development of the future platform.
Right. And part of that, there will be, though, a smaller, I forget what it's called, but like a committee that gets to decide how the treasury will be used, right? Because we don't,
Mhm.
you need more expert people to do that. But part of the governance utility of the token is token holders will be able to vote for who gets to be on that committee. Is that right?
Exactly. There will
Okay.
be a separate governance council that will decide on those things. Yeah.
And I'm curious just about the tokenomics of the token. I actually really like tokens that have a smaller max cap. And you decided to have the max cap of only 10 million TEER tokens. And the token again is the TEER token, TEER, not available yet, but
Mhm.
that will be the token. So how did you come up with the max supply and decide that you were going to go with a smaller max supply than a lot of other projects are going with?
At the end, it's not a technical decision, to be honest. It's more a decision on how do you want to your token to be valued. Because at the end of the day, the pure math would be also working with 100 million tokens and a token price that would be a little bit lower, right? So we think that data privacy is something that is valuable, and this should be also reflected in the price of the tier token. So we don't want to have a super cheap tier token if we're talking about sensitive data and privacy.
All right. Interesting. I like that. And also with the token, because you mentioned this before, so I want to make sure people understand this. So obviously, a lot of companies have they need what you're building and there's going to be a lot of use for it, but as you said, they don't want to deal with crypto tokens. So but I think what you said before, and I just want to make sure that I have this right, is
Mhm.
they will be able to just pay it in whatever currency they want to pay it in, and then in the background that currency is getting turned into tier, the tier is being used within the system, and then they're getting the services without even having to deal with the tier token themselves. Is that right?
Exactly. So that's why we want to denominate the token in fiat as well. So this means that projects can really have or calculate the amounts that they have to spend on running infrastructure in our network. And this is something that we see as a very important point towards getting more adoption from the traditional world because they're just not used to using tokens. And also the fluctuation of the markets is a big issue that we want to tackle with this concept. And it won't be only integrity in the future. I'm pretty sure that a lot of companies or people will start being service providers for projects to to do the same thing, right? We will not hinder other companies to do that in our ecosystem.
Yeah, I think that's a really, really important point for people to understand is that, maybe years down the line, crypto will be, everyone will understand crypto and be able to trade it and use it within these networks. But there's definitely probably going to be a very long time where businesses are like, well, I don't want to deal with crypto. What the heck? But the technology is very useful for them. So they just want to pay in fiat and not have to worry about the crypto. So it's amazing that you guys are thinking that way already and implementing that right away, because that makes a lot of sense to me. The other thing about the token that I want to understand fully here is there is a burning mechanism built into it. So it is slightly deflationary, as I understand. Now,
Mhm.
if we're starting with a max supply of 10 million, are you seeing that max supply would actually go down with this burning mechanism, or is that just about the circulating supply? Can you explain that a little bit?
No, it's really about the max supply, right? So whenever projects will run nodes in our network and use the platform, a very small portion of those fees will be burned every time. Means that the more companies and projects are using our technology, the higher will be the value of the token, right? So.
Right. So we do, so 10 million is the max supply. And then as time goes by, that's going to actually get smaller and smaller and smaller,
Exactly.
which is amazing value for token holders. All right. So it's time. We got to talk parachains here because, we have not been shy. We are supporting Integrity's parachain crowd loan. We want Integritee to get a parachain soon. So let's have a look at where we are. Things have been going actually really well in the last couple of weeks. Integrity's been doing amazing. You have over 12,000 Kusama locked in the Parachain crowd loan. The batch of crowd loans the batch of Parachain auctions we're in right now for Kusama, they're ending this week. Do you have any idea when the next batch of Parachains are going to happen? And how do you feel about how Integritee is positioned right now to be able to get a parachain in that next batch?
So, if we're talking about the timing when the third batch is starting, we have absolutely no clue. This is no public information to the projects. So we can only guess. Hopefully, the third batch will then start in the next 1, 2, 3 weeks, or it will even just continue to run with the parachain. So at the current stage, nobody really knows. But I'm really amazed by the participation. So over 4,000 contributors are already have contributed to our crowdloan campaign, and this is really amazing what we have achieved over the past weeks. So I'm pretty confident that we're in a good position to save one of the slots in the next batch of auctions.
Yeah, that's awesome. I'm getting excited because, yeah, it's been amazing to see people really get to understand and know what Integrity is doing. And it seems like they're really responding. We're seeing a lot of people join that crowd loan, as you say, over
Mm.
4,000 people. That's amazing. And so I just want people to understand, yeah, it's my understanding that the minimum amount that they can contribute is zero point 0.1 Kusama. Is that right?
That's correct. That's correct.
Right, which is like hardly, anything. That's like whatever, $35 or $40. So I just want people to understand you don't have to have a ton of money to join this. Every little bit helps. So zero point 0.1 Kusama, that's the minimum. And if you join, Integrity has done a couple of really amazing things. One, you're going to get an NFT, and we all love NFTs. So that I love. And then two, guaranteed rewards. So if you lend your Kusama to their crowd loan, whether they get a parachain or not, you're going to be rewarded with some TEER. So I want to make sure people understand that. And they have already hit their goal of over 10,000 Kusama locked. So they're going to be giving 20,000 TEER in rewards no matter what. So that is amazing. And I love how you guys have made your crowd loan so easy. You go to their website, they have a huge tab at the top, crowd loan. You go on there, boom, they have everything set up for you. So it's super easy to do. And we'll have the link in the description of this video. So talking about parachains, obviously it's an important part of the long-term vision for Integritee. But looking at your roadmap, we're getting really close to some major milestones, including the mainnet launch and the launch of the TEER token. Can you let us know where we're at with that, how far away those milestones are, how that's going?
Yeah, I mean, we are currently heavily focusing on, of course, the crowd loans and the parachain auctions. So hopefully, we'll be able to secure soon as well one of the slots to launch the parachain. But if not, we're still very close to launch our mainnet and also be listed later this year by an exchange. So looking at our roadmap, we're on a good path to achieve all the points that we promised to the people.
So can you explain to us, so if you aren't able to get a parachain before you launch your mainnet, what can we expect from the mainnet? What can that do when it's not a parachain? And then what will it be able to do better once it's a parachain?
I mean, it will be a standalone chain, right? Which has not the same level of security, obviously, as if we were a parachain. So this will be an issue for the first weeks, I guess. But once we can secure one of the slots, we will then just migrate and connect as a parachain to Polkadot to really get use of the strong security relay chain layer. But in terms of functionality, everything will be pretty similar.
And you guys, so people understand, you guys are pretty much ready to go. If you get a Parachain
Oh,
tomorrow, where are you at in terms of preparedness to launch?
immediately. So on the tech side, we're prepared since almost a couple of weeks to launch that. That's the good side.
Yeah, and that's a key point. That's actually one of the main reasons why I thought I really wanted to support Integrity's bid for a parachain right now, because you've been working on this project since 2018, according to the roadmap. Quite a long journey to get to where we are. How are you feeling? When you're this close to being able to get a parachain, you're this close to being able to launch your mainnet. How are you? How's the rest of the team feeling? It's been such a long journey to get here.
Yeah, I mean, Alain, our co-founder and brain behind the technology, was working since 2.5 years on that technology to bring it to that mature level that it is today. And it was easy for me to really take that technology and turn it into a viable business, right? Because I'm super convinced about the technology itself, what it can, and also about the timing that privacy and processing of sensitive data is becoming really a huge topic nowadays, right? Looking at the demand or the pressure from the regulators and also the demand from private customers.
And can you explain? Because I've heard such great things about the team. Obviously, I don't know you personally, but looking into you guys, everyone talks so highly about you. What is the experience of you and your co founder? What led you to starting Integritee together?
Me and Alon, we know each other since almost 4 years, and we worked on common blockchain projects in the past, right? And I mean, he brings a lot of experience from the traditional world as an engineer from the university in Zurich, dealing with corporate clients, but also being in the blockchain space since around 2013 already. So he's pretty well known in the whole Polkadot ecosystem as well. Substrate was actually one of the first projects in the Polkadot ecosystem that was also funded by one of the Web3 grants. And beginning of the year, we rebranded from Substrate to Integritee, right? And I mean, I am in the blockchain space on a professional level since 2016, working with a lot of large corporate clients from different industries, from financial services, from pharma, from logistics, and this is an experience and network that I'm bringing into that topic, right? And that's why we also see that this technology can really hit the market. Yeah.
Right. That's amazing. And I'm glad you brought that up, the rebranding, so people understand. If you haven't heard of Integrity and you think, oh, they're a new project on the block, no, these guys are one of the first Polkadot projects. As you said, they used to be called Substrate and they recently rebranded to Integritee. They've received multiple Web3 grants. They've been working on this for many, many years. And yeah, the experience, every time I talk to anyone within Polkadot, about your team, your experience comes up as one of the main reasons why they believe Integritee has a great future. This has been amazing to talk to you, Waldemar. Thank you so much for your time. Again, I just want to remind people you don't need a lot of money to join the Crowdloan. We really think that Integritee has a great shot at getting one of these next parachains. We want to get them one of the next parachains on the next batch, one of the first ones. They definitely deserve it. They're ready to launch an amazing product. So we have chosen to support them here at the channel for that. It's kind of a no-lose situation. You lend them some Kusama, you get an NFT out of it, you get some TEER tokens out of it that are going to be hugely valuable. And then eventually you get your Kusama back. So there's no better deal in crypto than that, in my opinion. So Waldemar, thank you so much for being here. Really look forward to following the success and the future of Integritee.
Thank you very much as well for having me today. It was really a pleasure to have that conversation about Integritee. And yeah, please keep up with the support to bring privacy to the masses.
Alrighty, I hope you enjoyed that conversation with Waldemar. Hope you learned a lot about Integritee. This project has been on fire since we started talking about them. They are poised to get a parachain in the next batch of parachains. And as he said in that interview, they are ready to go. That would mean that the TEER token launches. And if you supported them in the Crowdloan, you will start getting those rewards right away. So I hope you'll consider joining us and 4,000 other people who have supported them so far. Again, information in the description of this video, as well as our referral link, which will get you even more TEER rewards if you use that link. Okay guys, if you found this video valuable, please smash that like button, subscribe to the channel, and hit that notification bell. Thanks as always for watching. I'm Milton. Until next time, over and out.